So here in this talk, after the great opening by Ioannis, we will have a focus on some of the recent development that we have been doing in the framework of PHENET. I especially picked some that are connected to the Apple use case that will be further highlighted by Walter later on in the webinar of today. So, yes, somehow the talk by Ioannis was giving a nice insight about this hype curve where uh, when new
Je pense que
technology.
ça va au-delà de mes compétences pour le moment.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Something about a robot is launched on my. Okay, so there was this AI hype curve that was located, as pointed by Ioannis, some 10 to 15 years ago on the maximum expectation level. And somehow now we are more on the productivity side. So trying to make all these algorithms which are there for a while, from the teacher model up to the generative AI aspects, and to make them work for the kind of application that Bertrand has listed in his introduction talk. Are these tools really adapted to plant? We can have a look here. So especially if we use these AI tools for, let's say, computer vision, they are worth the power requested if we have complex scenes. And indeed, in agriculture, we know that we have this kind of complex uh, scenes with homogeneous regions, which contour, with object, with texture, at all scales, which make it worth the complexity of the huge model that we are trying to use to tackle these problems of counting, recognizing, identifying, and so on. Another requirement for the use of this AI model, so my mouse is super slow, sorry. Yeah, is the access to large cohorts of plants. So indeed, we do our maximum to have this kind of access via phenotyping, phenomobiles, indoor phenotyping, light version with smartphones and so on. And also we need human expert in annotation, in rating, in observing the plants. And these we have them provided we work as a community, as pointed by Ioannis also earlier. So somehow the elements are there. And so now it's time to make this tool really available for this community. What's happening again? Sorry for these troubles. Okay. So algorithms are there, but they still need a lot of data. It was also highlighted by Ioannis. And tools are there, but they need to be accessible and open. So I'm going to first give a bit of extension on this first item. So how to reduce the need of annotated data. So there is the tricks of data augmentation, the use of a synthetic data, the use of a digital twin to boost the training of the AI model, and also the use of generative AI, as pointed also by Ioannis. Another aspect is to use what is called foundation model. Foundation models are models which have been trained on huge amount of data. So kind of amount of data is what to now not accessible for plant agronomists. So we were on 2005, and somehow there are models which are been trained on much larger data set. And if you these models have been trained on datasets which are not only for plants, but if we uh, do a bit of prompt engineering, we can use them in a way which make them, let's say, adapted to our purposes. And I want to focus a bit on this in the talk. So one very famous now foundation model is a so-called segment anything model, SAM, trained on 1 billion image. So which means that there is possibly no academic labs that would be able to possibly, let's say, assemble this amount of data and also train from scratch such a model. But so a new scientific, let's say, area is how to leverage on this foundation model. Here, you don't need to train this model. You need just to prompt. So a prompt can be, for instance, some words, or it can be some scribbles, or just pointing in the image. So here, if you just put a point on the frog, then you will have the frog segmented somehow, and same for the other image. So what it gives? What does it give when we use it for plants? Okay, so let's have a look at one of the problems that we try to address for the UC ORCAD, which is separating touching trees. So it's a very complex problem, but very important and challenging for our use case, because we deal with UC ORCAD, deals with variety testing. ORCAD, which means that each tree is a different variety. So we need to disentangle these intertwined trees. And one way to do it is to do a 3D reconstruction, so acquiring data from different angles, and to try to disentangle by this addition of further information. Actually, there is, from one single image, already enough data to disentangle it by some perception of possible depth from a single RGB images. And this is what we have done here in this recent work by Erehari Metuera, who is working in the framework of PHENET as a PhD student. So what we first do is we detect the trunk of these trees. So we have a trunk detector here, and then we expect that the trees we are looking for are just above this trunk, and so we use this foundation model to prompt above the trunk and get access to the shoot foliage of these trees. So this is a pipeline that we have recently presented in the ECCV conference here. So first, detecting a trunk, and this is a kind of universal task, and you don't need a huge amount of data to do this kind of stuff. It can work on vineyard, on orchard, or whatever kind of horticultural crops corresponding to this kind of trees. And then just some prompts, which are points located above the trunk. You can even use some large language model and say, please find me a trunk like ChatGPT-O. It will point you to the trunk, and then locate some point, or look for the shoot above. And so this considerably reduces the need for annotation, because here we don't annotate anything. So there is no need for annotation to perform this very difficult task, because the paper I presented just before requested 3 years of work and a huge amount of annotation and acquired data. So that's really changing games to be able to leverage on models which have been trained on this amount of data that Ioannis has presented, and actually just prompt on them to solve very hard problems without having to actually aggregate all this amount of data for a specific field of agronomy like we have in PHENET. So now I will go for the second point. Tools are there, but they need to be accessible and open. So we expect that the world I'm talking about, which is the world of data science and the world of the end user, biologists, agronomists, farmers, and so on, are somehow too different in terms of the type of tools that the people are eager to use. And because that AI tools need kind of iterative process in the way they are the project are managed, we need tools that enable to make these two worlds talk to each other. So this is what we have developed with this Napari plugin. So Napari is a Chan Zuckerberg initiative. Chan Zuckerberg Foundation, which boosts this software, and we have developed a plugin for this software where end user can just receive a model from an AI expert, drag and drop it like they would drag and drop any files, and just press button to have uh, the AI tool run. And this includes all kind of information tasks such as segmentation, classification, detection, and then you get automatically the result. If you are not satisfied with the result, what can be done with this interface is that you can correct the image and send it back to the people who are developing the tool for you, so that you contribute to provide images which are still, let's say, found to be difficult for the AI tool at its level of progress and convergence to better results. So at the moment, we have already produced two of these tools. One is called Napari Blossom, where you provide images of apple trees during the spring, and you have a segmentation of the flowers, an estimation of the surface of these flowers. And another one is apple detection in ORCAD, which operates at any distance where you can count the amount of apple trees. There was a lot of literature on this, but unfortunately, the model were not shared, and it was not possible to reproduce because also the data sets were not open. So we developed our own data set, annotated it, and trained the model, and continue to upgrade it as soon as we have new data here. And this part was done in a previous project called Invite, where Walter and I were both involved. You can access to this tool by just typing Manini Napari and download it and test it on your laptop. So to conclude, on this kind of highlights of application, few-shot learning AI, so this kind of AI tool which leverage on huge amount of data, the kind of data that were not accessible yet to agronomists. We are going to use this, and this will considerably reduce the effort of annotation. We try to provide tools to the end user, so that they can handle them directly without any skills, by just a press button, a click button world. And also we try to distillate the weight of these models, so that they can in the end run on the edge. And so I had already a focus on this in the previous webinar session, so I decided not to put the stress on this for today. So this is all for me. Sorry for the issue with the speed of maybe my connection was a bit weak.